if we can put this tremendous machine of ours, which has made this victory possible, to work for peace, we can look forward to the greatest age in the history of mankind.
It was the dawn of a new age. World War II had come to a close with a U.S. victory. By the time 1947 rolled around, Truman was president. The Marshall Plan was in place, rebuilding war-torn Europe. And back home, massive changes were taking place. The Mississippi Delta was experiencing prosperity it hadn't seen in a long, long time. And in a short period of time, farmland values increased. New buildings such as a library, hospitals, and a new city hall was built. But our focus is on a restaurant that was born that year and continues to reap the harvest planted in the late 40s. And 50 years later, still going strong. After farming for the Walkers and Deans at Tribbett, Jimmy Lillo ran a country store where he met his wife-to-be, Conchetta. They were married in Leland not long after.
Well, we had the service station and the grocery inside. But anyway, then from a grocery inside, everybody starts saying, can you fix us a plate of spaghetti sometime for a little party? And we did have the extra room there.
Yes, and booths.
On the side, booths.
Well,
So
what happened, we built 4 booths.
you built 4 booths, and we put curtains. I put cute little curtains, you know. And that's how we started off with a restaurant. From the serving these little
Well, actually, it wasn't a
parties for
restaurant.
spaghetti and
It was
sandwiches.
a combination of everything.
Well, you gonna put the whiskey in, I know.
No, I didn't say whiskey. A combination of everything. We had a butcher, we had grocery, we had
Yeah.
service station.
It was really a combination of everything.
How did you
Scratch
do
that whiskey out.
No,
how did you do the, I remember you saying something about when you didn't have enough groceries, you used to put the cans in the front.
Oh, that's when
yeah.
we first opened up,
First
yeah.
opened up.
in the back it was
We used
all
to take a sack of
empty.
sawdust, you know. Everything used to come in bags, 100-pound bags. And we used to get about 20 pounds of beans, you know, and put it up on top of the,
Yeah.
it looked like we had the, you know, all
The
of,
bins looked full
Yeah.
and we had empty cans on the shelves, make it look like I had something there.
in the bag.
But in no time, we had the place filled up. 3 or 4 months' time, we had a wonderful business.
One day while running the store, Jimmy Lillo looked across the road at what was then the American Legion home and dreamed of a restaurant there. At that time, it was used for USO entertainment, fixed up by the government, who laid the maple floor, actually still in use today. At that time, Jimmy learned of the Magnolia Lounge in Greenville, and not knowing a thing about restaurants, he plunged in with all he had, learning from the cooks and the waitresses. But a change was about to take place, a major change. An idea of a swap out was in the making.
This fella had this, all of my dreams right across from where I was in Leland, Mississippi. Right across was the American Legion home. They had built a swimming pool there, and I don't know why. Everybody ever tried to run that place wasn't successful. And I kept saying to myself, oh God, why can't I have a place like that? I bet you I can make it go over. And finally this old man Wise had this place, and I wanted to get rid of the
He lived in
Magnolia
Greenville.
Lounge, so he said, I'll tell you what we do, we swap. I'll take the Magnolia
I'm
Lounge.
the one told him let's do that.
Well, all right, you did it, all right?
Okay,
Give
go
her
ahead.
credit for that.
Go ahead, but it's true. I said, you know, Mr. Wise used to come in Magnolia and drink coffee in the mornings, you know, early. I said, oh, we're running this thing backwards. I said, we live in Leland, we have to come through sleet and snow to come to Greenville. I said, you live in Greenville, you have to go through the bad weather going to Leland, and your wife's worrying about you two on the highway. I said, we ought to swap deals. We ought to buy you buy us out and we buy you out. And he said, that's a good deal. I'll talk it over with my wife. And that's how we got started and got that place,
Oh,
which
you-
it was a big
Are you
success.
through now? Which I saved you words now.
Thank you.
So we started over there where the place we're in now, 33 years ago.
When the Lillos took over the then called Wise Inn, it was a pretty rough place. In order to change the image, they decided to get rid of the beer, start a dress code, coat and tie, and the patrons would be couples only, and no smooching. No singles were allowed, unless he came to eat, of course, and absolutely no cursing. Now, in the early days, it was the bands that would help them get by.
We stood there and we kept fighting it until we finally got it going.
And then we had Jimmy Dorsey, and every time that we had a big band, it started raining the day before. And it rained. I don't mean it's not drizzling. I mean it's so rainy that people couldn't get out of the car.
Jack Burrows.
We had Jimmy Dorsey, I'm telling you the truth, it was just rained so much that they had to pick the girls up, you know, and the guys had that much wet before they got into place. That was it wasn't my place because that was big enough, you know. I thought we broke twice there, you know.
Yeah.
All right, but that's just like I said, we didn't make money. So what happens? I said we got to do something. So we changed everything. Couples only. No bed drinkers. Couples only. $1 couple. No, $1 per person. You got to spend $1 per person. The best thing that ever happened to us when we put the annex, it was our old porch and we built the bathrooms. You know,
The modern bathrooms.
Yeah. The nicer people began to come in there, the higher class of people later on.
Yeah.
We start putting out the food that was good, and all kinds of foods. Thank God today we have a reputation that 60, 70 miles around they come and eat with us, really.
What about the spiders that fly in from Memphis?
That's true?
Yeah, that's 135 miles.
At this time, steaks and Italian spaghetti were introduced to the menu at Lillos. Jimmy Lillo, always keeping a tight rein on the kitchen, made sure the quality of the food was consistent. Employees have been with the Lillo family for many, many years, and the same goes for the loyal customers from Leland to Greenville to Memphis, New York to LA, and yes, even around the world. Johnny, the oldest child, met his soon-to-be wife at Lillo's in August of '57. They were actually celebrating Jimmy's 50th birthday when Josephine LaBella came in with another date. Well, after a few dances with Johnny, true love began. November 27th, 1957, the two were married and continued to help manage Lillo's restaurant. They added a baseball team of kids that anxiously awaited their 13th birthday so they could also wait tables. Marie, their daughter, was in college when all this started, and then off to sing in the New York Metropolitan Opera. No stranger to the restaurant, she often steps in and bartends, waits tables, and just visits with customers on her trips home. After 50 years, many things are still the same, including the original booths and paintings of magnolias which are displayed about in the restaurant. But the most important inheritance of all is the quality and taste of famous Lillo's cuisine. With the passing of Mr. Lillo in 1988 and Mrs. Lillo in 1994, the entrepreneurial spirit would continue on as wife Josephine, son Charles, son Jimmy, son-in-law Wesley Keene would continue to keep the doors open today. The family tree continues to grow from Jimmy and Conchetta to daughter Marie, son Johnny, who managed the restaurant along with his wife until his death in 1985. Josephine is an active owner today. The restaurant lives on with the sons, son-in-law, and daughter that all contribute to its operation today. Actively, Charles, Wesley, and Josephine will be your host every night, and from time to time, you'll find daughter, wife, Debbie taking your order when there's a rush, and believe me, that's often. With the birth of Lillo's in 1948, Jimmy and Conchetta would have been so proud that their grandsons Charles and Steve would venture out to Gulf Breeze, Florida to start Lillo's down there. While Charles helped his brother get started, he eventually sold to Steve. Now, Steve is sole proprietor of Lillo's in Florida. But the legacy doesn't stop there. Lillo's famous salad dressing, their famous spaghetti sauce, and yes, famous fish supreme sauce is no longer available just at the restaurant. They're actually being distributed nationwide, displaying proudly Jimmy and Conchetta on its label. Lillo's is generational, 50 years of building a restaurant and growing families. Of course, as in the earlier years, entertainment plays a very big factor in the success at Lillos. Today, you'll find some of the finest entertainment around at Lillos Italian Restaurant, Leland, Mississippi.
My baby was gone, and now I'm all alone.
Around 1989, Lillos made some changes inside the restaurant, moving the bar from the back room to the west side of the building. 1993, the front of the building was to receive a facelift as well as a front porch indoors. While these changes are made from time to time, the one thing that will never change is the smile you get when you walk through our doors. Don't be surprised if a great-granddaughter of Jimmy and Conchetta's walk up to your table and ask if they could take your order.
And I want to close the show up. God was good to us all the way through.
Yeah, he was, really was.
Quando due capelli volano d'argento, io ti amo lo stesso, tu sarai sempre mio amore,
I better be.
sempre innamora sarà del cuore, sei un giardino pieno di fiori, a calare del sole compramo, oh when your hair has turned to silver,
Plenty silver,
I will love you just the same.
didn't have to do it.
Woo, Dad, that's so proud of you. That's beautiful.
God bless you both.
Thank you.
Oh, thank you so much.